This is a review of Clutch Gaming versus Fnatic. The early game lead that CJ was able to get was massive, but they ended up not understanding how to snowball in mid-game, which ended up being the reason why they lost. So I really wanted to look at how did Clutch make such big gains in the early game. So we start off, Fnatic does a 5 spread with Garen basing early, so they understand that Garen Yuumi, it's not really that strong level 1. And the enemy has 4 ranged for the bot side. Technically, Triss could join 2, which would make it 5. And seeing as how they're basically all melee, except for Yuumi on Fnatic's side, they have to be very careful of any evade. The only time you would actually not be afraid as being such a heavy melee comp versus a full range comp level 1 would be if you had a ton of CC, but in this case Fnatic don't, so they're being very cautious. And CG understands the advantages they have, so the first thing they look towards is a bot invade. Now, basically what they're doing is they're starting from bot, which is very unlikely for Fnatic to be down here. And then they roll through, checking here, and then they check up further up here most likely, right? They check these 2 areas on the minimap for any, basically testing areas of weakness on Fnatic's side. So they get a ward, they spot nothing, back off. Okay, now notice they technically could round over and look over here still if they really want to. Because in no way is Garen Yuumi able to fight level 1 versus these 2. And not even Lee would do too much versus an Elise. But they don't opt to force it. They don't want to go that hard. They're taking a more conservative start. Because in the end, what Clutch really wants to do in their game plan for the early game, for the initial first pathing, is to basically path towards Tristana versus Shen and get Huni some kind of lead in which he can use to have consistent pressure while they can focus other areas of the map. So what Fnatic does is, after identifying that nothing has been happening on their bot side, they rotate over here cover this area with Yuumi, and then they just get free poke on Demonte. So Bwipo tries a level 1 shenanigans mid, which, I mean, it pressures Demonte a little bit, right? It chips him out a little bit, and it actually helps set up Bruxa too, which we'll see shortly. So Bruxa does red Krugs. Basically, it sets him up for being able to hit level 3 off 3 camps. Whereas Lyra, because he's starting on blue side and he's doing full blue clear, he has to do his red after this to hit level 3. So he's going to be stuck essentially doing camps for the next 30-40 seconds. So of course, Clutch Gaming has the push bot. If Lee were to gank bot, it would open up Shen completely. So Fnatic doesn't try anything like that. Now Demonte feels pretty safe. He doesn't think he would ever be ganked in this situation. Bruxa hits level 3. There's no rush for him to go straight to his top side. Shen's not in danger. Nemesis is not in danger. And one of the key things of doing this gank here, it's not just to, you know, mess with Demonte. It's because of, look at the wave. Right now there's 2 range minions versus 3 melees, 2 range, and a cannon. So right now, he wants to try to freeze this wave in front. He wants to deny Demonte the ability to push this all the way in and bounce the wave. And so by doing this, we'll see. Walks up, walks up, walks up. Burns his flash. Now, did the wave not actually get frozen? No. You know, they weren't able to actually hold the wave. Which sucks a little bit for Nemesis. However, you got Demonte's flash instead. So it's like you test 2 areas. Either Demonte feels he's safe enough and he gets out without having to burn his flash, or you kind of like force a little freeze in front and burn Damonte's time. Now, Damonte knows that, or CG knows that Bruxa used his time to do this, right? So now they feel safe to move into top river after Lyra does red. He's level 3. He has double buffs. And he looks to take Scuttle. And he even pokes around his check blue. Bwipo does an all-in play onto Huni to try to chip him out because he's trying to prevent Huni from feeling... He's trying to get Huni into a state in which this is not possible. Like, doing any kind of, like, dive plays or such is not possible. So Lyra takes the Scuttle because he knows he can't contest the blue unless Huni were to walk over, but also Bwipo... It's not just... Okay, I shouldn't say it's just Bwipo doing this play for the sake of chipping Huni out. It's also because it stalls the wave in front of the tower, so he is also trying to deny the bounced wave and letting Huni just move with Lyra for free. So Bruxa finishes his blue, and now he looks... Vulcan dies. Vulcan dies because he's trying to get turret plating, but he's exposed here, right? Like, he's exposed here, and of course, Garen Yuumi just walks up and kills him. In other words, he greeted. That's all there is to say about that play. So Lyra, knowing that Bruxa showed on top side, goes and does double Scuttle. So Lyra is rewarded for a more conservative pathing, and Bruxa is a little punished because he opted to make that mid gank. But at the same time, keep in mind, Damonte burned his flash. So now Lyra, he tried to look for a wraparound behind gank, but Bard would not have been there for a little bit, so they would have had to wait to do this gank anyways. And the chances of it actually effectively working... I'm not sure if they would actually be able to pull it off. So in the end, they back off. They don't try to commit to it. Now, notice that Lyra actually skips out on basing, and he wants to clear out his 2 camps on top side because he hasn't touched those yet. So he actually skips the Krugs entirely. So he technically could have finished this, and then taken his base, and then he would have a chance to look on bot side again against a flashless Garen. But what Bruxa does is Bruxa actually goes bot, ganks them, and he's pushing these guys off. Like, you know, they're pushing them away from the tower, or away from the wave. So again, you know, he's actually helping his laners, you know, his Garen, Yuumi, get this wave finished so they can get a base. Because right now, as you can tell, it's 20 to 33 CS. There's quite a big difference there, and they don't want to get locked in lane. So this is actually very beneficial towards Fnatic. At the same time, though, we notice Bwipo is trying to finish out the top wave push because he wants to bounce the wave as well, but he exposes himself, not thinking that Lyra is actually going to look for the top play. They end up killing him, and Nemesis burns his TP, almost kills Huni, but he still lost his TP, so it's actually a bit of an advantage for Clutch, right? So now Nemesis returns mid. Again, both mids don't have TP, so he can finish this push on the wave and take his base, and he'll have a little bit better buy compared to Ori. So far, if you were to look at this game state, you'd say it's slightly favored to Clutch. Tristana has a kill. Lucian is well ahead of Garen, which is good for them. And you're just a little ahead in mid. So the game state is fine for Clutch, and for Fnatic, it's just in a little bit of a worse state, but they do have Shen ultimate to try to make a play to get them back in. So Clutch's bot wave bounces, they push it in. Lyra returns to bot side because that's where his 2 secondary camps is spawned, plus Scuttle is coming up, so he wants to grab that. There's a huge wave bot, and they give up the chance to get 1 plate because the plate will actually die to the minions itself. So they give up 160 gold to do Ocean Drake with 4 members. Now Trist used her TP top and Shen has ultimate. So from the get-go, if you're looking at this play, it is advantageous to Fnatic to contest them here. And what does the Ocean Drake actually do for them? Not that much. Honestly, the Ocean Drake, all they should care about is just converting their time into gold. That's what they should care about. But they contest this. Fnatic realizes the advantages they have with Shen ultimate, so of course they engage, and it nets them a kill. Okay, our bad's clutch. We gave them a freebie, a free play, and the only reason why you would ever even expose yourself to the dragon like this is if you planned to bait this. If you plan to bait the Shen R and you're looking to do a bar tunnel out and give this Drake, then you effectively get Huni ahead because you understand how to trade objectives and bait your enemy into something they don't really want to do. And that doesn't happen. They didn't have that plan. Instead, their plan was literally, we have priority, let's do dragon, which is very bad. So Vulcan dies. Huni ends up rotating for the team. Now, again, keep in mind, they're trying to force fight early fights around here, and it makes sense in a way because Yuumi pre-6 with Garen isn't that threatening. The only threatening member for the most part on the team is actually the Akali. And again, Garen also very threatening because he's going Targons first, so doesn't even really have damage. So you feel confident doing this, but you're going to have a numbers disadvantage. And should Huni even be rotating towards this objective in the first place? He only does it because they know of that. Yeah, no matter how I'm viewing it, it seems off. But whatever. Huni rotates, right? Huni rotates in. And this is okay, so this is one of the bigger errors by Fnatic. So Clutch just made a mistake. But Fnatic are now trying to do the dragon themselves. What is their damage profile? Lee Sin, okay, not great. Akali is actually not that good either. Akali can only spam Qs, and she doesn't really want to burn all of her energy on the dragon. Shen, not good either. So you have literally 3 champions, and we're not even including the Garen. You have 3 champions who do like 0 damage. 0 damage. Clutch realized this, and so now the Ocean Dragon just starts free hitting Fnatic. They're not committing, they're baiting around constantly, and they're waiting for Bard to join the fight. So notice how much damage it's doing to Fnatic. Bard finally joins. Now suddenly the team that has more damage in their toolkits in the first place, in their items, and Nemesis does not have ultimate, which is huge. They commit. And what we end up seeing is Whipple dies. Reckless dies. Elise picks up a kill. Or sorry, Trist picks up 2 kills here. Or jeez. Elise and Trist pick up a kill. My bad. And that's terrible. That's really bad. Because now Trist feels even more accelerated, and at this point, it feels like you got a kill on Shen, who does not matter, and you got Ocean Drake. And what's more interesting about this, and which hurts Fnatic even more, is the fact that this lets Clutch push out the bot wave, because he died. Reckless died, right? He died. And Shen had to stay, or sorry, not Shen, Fnatic didn't have anyone to cover the bot wave. So now they get to rotate their duo towards top early to punish the plates here. And it doesn't matter that it's not time to do Herald yet, because all you care about is having a side trade versus Garen. Because how impactful is Garen in team fights? Not very. He's pretty much there to enable Yuumi, and that's it. He also has to share XP, and again, that's not really beneficial. But for CG gets to get their carries ahead. Now, should Huni be sitting here? No, of course not. That's terrible. But ignoring this mistake by Huni, Clutch are able to walk in. You see Demonte's hovering a little bit. He hovers with Elise. And then they start taking plates. They start peeling them back. The Garen Yuumi are slow. Garen doesn't do damage. Yuumi doesn't do a ton of damage to the towers. This is bad for Fnatic. And now Garen has TP. And this is a mistake that Fnatic makes. He has TP. You need to match this. You need to TP and defend it. Because if you don't, you're only getting gold on these two. And while I will admit, Yuumi is definitely a champion who could use the gold, it's not going to be impactful enough. And then we see Whippo ends up staying, a huge mistake as well. And we're off to the races. Clutch just DPS's the tower. Lyra's like, okay, you guys got this now. I'm going to go ahead and start the Herald. Okay, Bard's going to come and help start the Herald. Fnatic decides to tell themselves, okay, you know what? We're done. We're going to TP in. We don't like this situation. We're going to TP in. So they end up catching Cody, right? Like, they did not expect the TP ward. Great. Good job, Fnatic. You finally responded to the play. Unfortunately, guess what? Bruxa is sitting here randomly trying to contest the Herald, and he dies. And yet again, your pick top didn't really matter. The best thing Fnatic got out of this was, hey, we stop Herald. Great. That is the one thing that Fnatic's looking at this situation saying, okay, great, we stopped Herald. But Whippo, seeing Clutch move towards mid, also makes mistakes. So again, we have two quick unforced errors by Fnatic that leads to 600 gold. Actually, not 600 gold. 900 gold into Clutch's pockets. So of course, Clutch goes right back top. Okay, this is where the Garen Yuumi are. Let's set up a tent, and let's get Herald again. Notice this, and this is a very interesting idea. So they knew Garen used TP and he went top. He could have based and went back bot or something. Who knows? Now Clutch could have sent their duo back bot, given up the Herald, have Triss defend this until, you know, they use Herald top or whatever, and push for the plate spot, which is these two. But what they do instead, which is a perfectly fine play to make, is they look for Herald. Okay, so they're doing Herald, and they send Triss right away here. She doesn't have TP. Keep that in mind, no TP. They send her to help take Herald because they don't care if Shen gets CS. They don't care if Shen, 58 CS, 1 in 4, building Titanic, gets any kind of lead back. Because what matters more is are our core carries getting ahead for Clutch. Lucian, Orianna, Tristana. If these characters are getting ahead, and the only character that Fnatic really cares about, Akali, isn't, that's a win. That's a big win. And notice the vision Clutch places on top of it. There's tons of it, right? Like, they have everything covered. No problem could happen in top side. So now we have Nemesis poking around. And again, here's a nice little thing we're seeing. Clutch realizes that Nemesis is a big component towards stopping their Herald play. You know, if he can TP into the fight, he has a chance to stop us. So what do? They wait to see him move. Because they know they have full top river vision, so Fnatic are blind, and Fnatic will feel like they should do something about that. And they're also kind of blind on bot, so either way, like he's gonna go to either side. Lyra's covering the right. He's covering the right. He's covering the left. Nemesis walks up, gets stunned, gets autoed twice, walks to the right, gets pounced on, super low, and then now suddenly Lyra pops the Herald. He could have translated the Herald into bot tower with Tristana if they wanted to, because there's no TP on Garen, and there's TP on Lucian, right? TP on Lucian, and they could easily give part of this up to do a man advantage bot play to get more kills if Fnatic stays around and get the plates. But because they got the free chip damage on mid, they get converted on mid tower, and now Devontae gets the feast on plates next. Notice Huni rotated from bot to top just to have a small chance to see if, okay, maybe if fight breaks out, I'll be ready. And now Clutch start the dragon to say, okay, fight us. Try to fight us right now. We know Nemesis has no ultimate, so he's not a threat. We have Lucian TP. Try us. And Mountain Drake is big for Clutch because one of the ways they're going to be able to get ahead is from Tristana DPSing towers and being able to burn Baron, so they can do big sieges. So great. Clutch, they have a nice lead. They got several plates. Huni outlasts Shen on the bot side, and pay attention to what Fnatic's doing. So he has 1,000 gold, Shen. He has ultimate. Fnatic starts eyeing topside, noticing that Cody is all on his own, and the vision that CG placed on topside is now swapped into the bot river. So they feel comfortable pressuring this tower for plates and pressuring a dive. So that's why you see Lee's moving up, and that's why Shen bases and backs off. This opens up the free bot plates for CG. But at the same time, if you're thinking onto Fnatic versus CG on who's getting what, Triss just 8 plates. Ori before just 8 plates. Lucian before that 8 plates. Who's eating the plates on Fnatic? Shen and Garen. Not Akali. That is not good. Neither of these two picks by Fnatic enable them to be able to carry the game out. Clutch essentially is making the map, playing the map in a way that they're always benefiting from the trades for their picks specifically. Both teams are getting plates, but the people who are getting the plates are more important on Clutch than on Fnatic. So afterwards, Clutch does a very simple jungle top, rotates into mid. This is the tower they want to get next. Jumps on him, pressures him a little bit, and they get mid tower. Now, what's the big thing about this? The big thing about taking mid tower is now this whole area is open. You have a Bard. And what Clutch is going to do eventually is just try to do Bard ults down mid over and over because they have this area open. But they don't realize one specific thing they can do with their advantage, which I'll explain eventually. We first have to look at how they do their setup next. So Whippo pushes down bot wave, right? Clutch finally sets themselves up to have, well, I would say you would want Lucian in the mid lane at this point. You don't really care if Ori is in the side lane. Even though she's a little bit more exposed than Lucian, both of them don't really have an insane amount of wave clear. What's more important, though, is having Bard looking to make side plays with Tristana and focusing on the Shen and giving up whatever you can on the other side without caring. So here's the first catch that they make, and this was a very good one. This was very well played by Clutch, and this is the only time it actually really works out for them versus all the other times. So what they do, we'll start back a little bit further. So Clutch right now, their assignments, they're looking like they're not sure. Like, you know, we could have Ori mid or Lucian mid. I prefer Lucian mid just because Ori for the most part is just going to trade waves in the side lane anyways, whereas Lucian can be a little bit more impactful for moving around in skirmishes with Bard specifically. But they want to go and defend top, right? They want to defend top. So they rotate these two up. This in return makes Fnatic want to match and move these guys up. What this does, and we'll see this by other teams as well, I don't know if they specifically do it just because they want to defend, but by making these guys want to move up, like Fnatic, this lets Vulcan, Lyra, even Damonte, they can look to pick off Fnatic when they rotate back into mid. Because they have to go back mid. You know, they went to go to pressure top tower, and now they gotta return mid, and if they cheat in any way, you punish them. And that is exactly what Clutch does. And this ward here is one of the big reasons why this works, right? They placed a ward because they had an idea on what they wanted to do around mid lane. So Bard catches Hylissang, they kill him, and then they get Reckless. Two big picks. Akali's stuck topside, Shen is stuck bot side. They can now DPS mid tier 2. Shen is getting free farm bot, but again, who cares? It's Shen. Now, should Cody be in this position here? No. This is again a mistake by a side laner. Their whole purpose after you're making this mid play is you just sit here. You give up this tower. This tower does not matter, right? You know, you don't have any purpose or any benefit from having tower. So Lucian should just sit back. Again, it could have been Lucian or Orianna. They sit back, collect the wave, and you play it from there. Now, if we pause the game at this point, where is everyone set up in? We have Orianna with a Ludens and partial. I can't remember exactly what he goes in this game. He can go Morelos with this, which would stop the healing of Yuumi. He can go Liandry's because there's a lot of HP onto Fnatic, which would be really good. An early Void would be terrible. So he has a couple options from this build path. Huni's working on to his Infinity Edge. You know, Lucian's working on Black Cleaver. And you look on the other side and you see Garen with a Black Cleaver. That doesn't really matter. Gunblade on Akali, good, but like not as impactful. You look at Shen, he has just a Titanic. Okay, that's not going to do anything to anyone. The only person who actually looks like pretty formidable is Yuumi. She has a Ludens Echo, and she does really good poke. But it doesn't matter to whoever's playing mid on Clutch because you're never going to get enough poke down in mid if Clutch is just pushing the wave and then roaming to affect the side lanes. And that's the fault that Clutch is going to have in a bit. So the first thing you see Clutch do is they push mid wave, they rotate their full members towards top side, and that allows them to give Cody the space to take top tower. Okay, great. No, Cody took top tower. Fnatic, in response to seeing them move towards top, is they want to do the same thing. You know, they see this space, let's cut them off, and let's go ahead and contest this tower here. So of course, Clutch moves up, defends it. Perfectly fine, right? These plays are fine because you're playing to defend mid tower from Fnatic. Now, there's some misplay, which is very unfortunate for CG because at this point, they burned the Garen TP or Garen flash, right? Garen flashes. Okay, great. You burn the Yuumi ult. Great. That is a full win for CG. Lucian's not here. Akali's not even here either, right? And yet, Huni eats a lead kick and just walks a little too far and dies. And right now, Akali's getting free farm, which is actually beneficial towards Fnatic. He's getting to push this wave out. He's going to get some CS up. These two were sharing CS a little bit. So Garen's actually made up some of the CS deficit from the early game. And this fight in general, like once you burn these key ults by Fnatic, after right here, like right after here, I understand Vulcan wants to use his ulti here, but it doesn't matter anymore. You used Shockwave. You don't have Lucian here. Like, there's nothing left you have in the tank to actually kill them because it's still a Garen Yuumi. But he goes, right? Like he goes and he gets baited. Huni gets baited, underestimates the damage, ends up dying. And now suddenly Fnatic has grown more CS, has given more CS towards Akali. Great. They stopped Huni from farming. Great. They cleared out some of the vision on the left side of mid. Great. This is all pro for, or all positive things for Fnatic. Now we get to Dragon, and Nemesis is in a decent spot to do damage. And Yuumi ult's gonna come back up soon. And technically Fnatic could fight it if they wanted to. Though I would probably ill-advise it with Lucian having Bork BC. So Fnatic, you notice like they peel off. They're like, okay, you know what? We can't do this. But again, look what happens. And this is the thing that Clutch messes up on over and over again. Fnatic knows they can't fight this. Clutch is desperately looking for kills because they think they're on a timer. They're really not on like that big of a timer. Especially with the lead they have and how they can grow it. They're not really on that big of a timer. They spot these guys on this side. He thinks this is a free pick. The problem is they keep forgetting. First off, they extended well past their own team, right? Like these two are not even with them. Cody based to get Black Cleaver, so he's not even with the team either. These two make a solo play onto Broxa, who has a Yuumi available to them, and a Shen ultimate, and they get baited. They get completely baited and annihilated. Now, what if you took the dragon and you let one person go top and push this out, like Lucian? You had sent someone bot, push this out, like Tristana. You want to keep Ori mid, that's fine. Ori can sit mid the whole game. That's not a problem. And then use the Bard. Use the Bard to roam, to pressure the side. He's very fast. And suddenly, if you do that, you're avoiding, running yourself into Garen Yuumi. Very tanky members. Very tanky, high healing, like high tenacity, get out of your CC. You get away from that and you grow a CS lead versus a useless Shen, a useless Garen. These two are not going to be impactful. And you can then also put focus on shutting down Akali in the split. And if you don't think you can shut down Akali, then you can at least destroy the Shen with Tristana and pull. And this is the big thing. You pull the Garen Yuumi to defend Shen. That's the key. You want to pull them to defend Shen. That way you're not just sitting mid, trading farm, and then having Yuumi poke you while you get nothing done in the split, in the sides. But they don't do that. Notice how much Huni's CS has stagnated. He's at 153. There's only a 20 CS deficit between him and Shen, and he had a much bigger lead before. And he should have a lot more CS than 150. You look at the solos, the mids, and they have 170 CS. Clutch believe that they have to rush the map in mid to progress. When in reality, they just have to look at how strong their sides are and their ability to actually move out of mid with Bard, and suddenly they're ahead. They keep staying ahead until they find that correct pick, that correct catch with Bard that's actually, useful. Like when they killed Hillisang and Reckless earlier, and then you snowball off that. And if you get advantages in split from kills, great. And if it pulls, Reckless, oh my god, if it pulls Reckless and Hillisang to the side, then you look to catch them when they try to rotate back in. That's all you have to do. But the only thing Clutch does in this game, again, notice Huni is in mid lane. He's in mid lane while Shen is splitting and getting CS back. Terrible. That is very bad. And notice the Garen is even in CS because Clutch have failed to realize what a side lane is. And look at this. They try the same play and they get punished the same way. And Fnatic suddenly has far more control in the game because now their solos have farmed up. Their Garen is farmed up. And the advantages Clutch made in the early game don't really matter as much. Hopefully, the next time Clutch faces Fnatic, they can remember that you don't just focus mid lane when you get into mid game. Especially with a comp that is full ranged and has not nearly enough burst for a Garen Yuumi.